We will begin the meeting with the national anthem. We ask that everyone stand. Our national anthem this evening will be sung by Annabelle Burrells. Annabelle is the daughter of Don and Andrea Burrells and is a student at Effingham High School.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early night what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars
Thank you, Annabelle. I'll ask that everyone please remain standing, and I'll invite to the podium Jeff Wilson for the invocation.
You're good. Don't worry about it.
Lord, please join me in an attitude of prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you, Lord, for this evening, for a wonderful afternoon. Safe travel to bring these guests here to us this evening. Ask that you watch over everybody when they return home safely tonight. Father, thank you for the founders of EJ Water Corporation, a cooperative that was formed with a vision of providing safe, abundant, dependable water supply to people in areas where that wasn't available. Thank you for their vision. Father, thank you for our employees that work every day to make sure that when we as customers and members of this cooperative, that when we turn the tap on, water comes out. Ask that you bless them and watch over them as they do their duties. Now, Father, I ask you bless the hands of the folks who prepared the meal that we're about to partake. Now, please bless each of us and these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
You're good.
Thank you, Jeff. At this time, we would like to recognize our veterans and active service members for their service. If you are a veteran or active service member, would you please stand? We thank you for your commitment and sacrifice you made for our freedom. As a token of our appreciation, we do have a gift, and so some of the EJ staff will be handing it out. So if you are a veteran or active service member, you can just raise your hand and they'll bring out your gift. Another round of applause for our veterans and active service members.
Okay, we'll bring it.
We would also like to take a moment of silence for those that we have lost over this past year that have been part of our co-op family, including past board members and employees. the purposes of housekeeping this evening, the restrooms are out the door and to the right. The EJ Board appointed Vince Fisher as Sergeant of Arms for the EJ Membership Annual Meeting. The Sergeant of Arms is responsible for assisting the chair in maintaining meeting decorum, assistance to the membership, and additional security for the event. I'd ask now that you give your attention to our Secretary, Gail Garvey, as she reports on the number of members present.
Thank you, Jason. In accordance with the bylaws of the cooperative, there are 117 members in person and no members by proxy, for a total of 117 members. Therefore, quorum has been met.
Thank you, Gail. Throughout the meeting this evening, we will be requesting member participation for motions. To ensure that we have the correct information, when making a motion, please raise your hand and state your name clearly and loudly. I understand that there is a slight change to the agenda which requires action. To promote a thoughtful, appropriate, and full discussion amongst the members, I would entertain a motion to amend the 2025 annual meeting agenda by adding a section entitled Member Comments after old business but before new business. Is there such a motion to amend the 2025 annual meeting agenda? I have a motion there by P.B. Finley. Do I have a second? Jim Perry? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion to amend the 2025 annual meeting agenda has carried. It adds a member comment section under old business and before new business. On February 18, 2025, pursuant to Illinois law in Section 5, Article 12 of the bylaws of the EJ Cooperative Incorporated, the Board of Directors unanimously approved the rules of the day, which has been provided to every member when they registered today. The rules of the day were also available on the EJ Water website. If you did not receive a copy, I understand there are more copies available at the registration desk. The rules of the day shall govern the meeting during the member comments and new business section of the meeting. At this time, I will proceed with the proof of mailing and reading of the minutes. Notice of annual meeting. I, undersigned Jason Warfel, President of EJ Cooperative Incorporated, do hereby certify that EJ Water Cooperative Incorporated did, on the 11th day of February 2025, cause to be distributed notices of the annual meeting of members of EJ Water Cooperative Incorporated via email to each member as of the 30th day of January 2025 at the respective email addresses as per the records of EJ Water Cooperative Incorporated, and placed in the U.S. mail at the post office in Effingham, Illinois. Postage, fully prepaid, a notice of annual meeting of members of EJ Water Cooperative Incorporated, addressed to each member of said corporation without an email address on record, as of the 7th day of February at the respective post office address of each as shown on the records of said corporation in accordance with the bylaws of the cooperative. Dated March 1st, 2025. We will now move forward with the reading of the annual meeting minutes. A copy of the 2024 annual meeting minutes has been provided to each member in the annual meeting booklet. In lieu of reading the 2024 annual meeting minutes, I would request a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve them as printed. Is there a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve them as printed? I have a motion back there. Charles Bishop, do I have a second? Louis Oakes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposed? The motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve the 2024 annual meeting minutes has carried. The next order of business is our financial report, which will be given by our treasurer, Jeff Wilson. Jeff?
Good evening again. For your reference, financial information is on the back side of the front page of the agenda, if you want to glance at that. Before I start, I would like for all of you to be aware that as of just within the last few weeks, we now have all of our previous audits on the EJ website. So anybody that really wants to see the financial history of EJ, you're welcome to dive into our website. And maybe some of you are having trouble sleeping at night, that might be a good option to go through those. For this evening's purposes, financial information is before you. We had total revenues for our cooperative for year ended September 30, 2024 of $17,748,430. About $13,475,000 of that was water revenue. The rest, as you see, was from miscellaneous sources. I would point out that the contributing long-lived assets there, $550,000. That's the assets that the community of Wick brought to us with the consolidation of their water district into our co-op earlier this year. As far as expenses, you can see that our expenses totaled $15,272,233 for the year, resulting in net income of $2,476,198. I would point out that if you look at the itemized expenses, we had $4,638,000 in depreciation on our distribution system. But even if you back that out, of course that's a non-cash expense, but it still takes about in the neighborhood of $900,000, excuse me, about $1.1 million, about $900,000 a month. I'll get this straight. About $900,000 a month of cash to operate our co-op today. And so it's a significant business. And I mention that because if you look on down at the bottom of the page, as of September 30, 2024, we had $5,839,131 of cash in the various accounts of our co-op. We point out that $2,026,446 of that is reserve payments that are in place that is required by our loan agreements with our lenders, so that if the economy gets tight, we've got cash set in place to make the payments for a period of time. We're actually over reserved, but with that in mind, you'll see that only leaves about $4 million to operate the co-op on in cash, and it takes close to $1 million a month. That's not a lot of cash when you get thinking about it. And so it sounds like a big number, but EJ Co-op does a lot of things today for us, and it takes capital to do that. So, and we're all a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I want to thank all of you for your attendance this evening, and a special thanks to all the EJ employees who have had a hand in putting this annual meeting on. The title of the annual meeting booklet this year was Reservoir of Progress. Much like a water reservoir that's used to hold water, Reservoir of Progress is a way of describing something that holds the potential for future growth and development. Our water co-op has, throughout our 36-year history, shown our ability to grow and develop. We have grown from humble beginnings into the cooperative that we have today that provides healthy drinking water to nearly 100,000 people throughout 19 Illinois counties. The state of our cooperative is strong and thriving. The board and employees of EJ remain committed to providing quality drinking water in a reliable and dependable manner. To ensure quality, EJ continues to test our water above EPA standards within a certified water lab with qualified technicians. To ensure reliability, EJ built a 250 million gallon reservoir at our Delbert Munt treatment plant last year. This coming year will see a number of system improvements, including expansion of that treatment plant that will allow the plant to serve more retail and wholesale members while providing additional reliability to our system. The board remains committed to providing quality and reliability at an affordable price for our members. EJ bills at a rate of less than 1 penny per gallon of water consumed, and increases in rates still stay well below the consumer price index increases. We are a strong, thriving cooperative because of all of you, our members, and our dedicated employees who have dreamed, risked, and worked to build this co-op over the past 36 years. May we continue to be a reservoir of progress for many years to come. Now let me welcome to the stage someone that has been a key to our continued growth and development over the past 2 decades, our CEO, Bill Teichmann.
This year I decided to go off of an iPad, so I'm starting to go digital. But as was mentioned, welcome. It's hard to believe the dream in 1989 started back in June, and here we are some 36 years later. Someone had asked me how long I've been involved with the co-op, and I'm right at 23 years, so I'm starting to grow up, as Delbert Munt used to always say to me. Over the years, you know, we constantly talk about all the projects we've done, and it's a great testament to how we have reached out beyond. What originally was just going to be serving some folks in and around Detroit, just on the west side of Jasper County. I actually had somebody recently, and aren't really in funny times. I had someone from Washington, D.C. recently, about 3 weeks ago, ask me, what does EJ stand for? Because in our political climate, you know, words matter. And one of the things that I didn't even think about is that this acronym EJ, in, you know, I guess you'd say the federal government stands for actually environmental justice, which has lost favor since we've had a change of administration. Of course, depending on, you know, who sits here and your political influence. This isn't to talk about ideology, but rather just the sensitivity that sometimes we live in. So the comment to me was, next application that we need to put in, make sure it says Effingham and Jasper County, because again, you want to highlight the fact that EJ actually stood for the original 2 counties that we started in. But isn't that strange? I mean, who would have thought something like that 5 or 10 years ago? But speaking of maybe politically correct or incorrect, which I think now is okay, about 3 years ago, because of costs changing the way they were changing, we saw input inflations just completely crazy. As a matter of fact, I was just looking this morning, our 5-month ending chemicals in particular has already grown 20% in the last 5 months compared to last year. So we've got several categories of inputs that continually are increasing, which offers challenges to us to keep rates affordable. One of the things that we did adopt with the direction of the board, we decided to slow our growth. We've talked about that in the last couple of years. We're doing it in a much more measurable way. We also looked at the different departments that we looked at that were essential versus forward-leaning for growth, and we realigned a lot of those resources appropriately and have saved the co-op quite a bit of money. Also, in particular, we're starting to look at a lot of indicators, almost like on a weekly basis. For those that jump into a car, you know, you look at the dashboard. Of course, dashboards have changed, haven't they, in a lot of years? I mean, it used to be just a couple of gauges. Now, the whole front just lights up, it seems like. But in particular, we've been looking at how many miles we drive. One of the bigger challenges that we have is that we serve 4 customers a mile. So I get a lot of people asking me, well, why is my rate so high compared to living in town? Well, we're about 1/10 to sometimes 1/30 the density is living in town. And so it's no different than rural electric. Rural electric is typically more costly to deliver service because you're only talking about a handful of customers a mile. And today, and someone was asking me earlier about some areas in and around Signal, the comment was, well, will we bring water out that way? Well, here's the reality. Not that many years ago, it cost us $25,000 per mile to put 4-inch. Today, it's almost $70,000. So it's a whole different dynamic, and I would actually attest that if you started EJ today, there's no way you could have done it, because you would have had $150, $200 water bills, and obviously I doubt anybody would sign up for that. So I think Delbert and the founding board did the right thing at the right time, and we're living on that legacy of lower costs. Jason already mentioned about we do track the value proposition of our average water bill, and thankfully it's below CPI. That's a big measure that we've used over the years. Today, if you follow that, based on what it was some 20 some odd years ago, it shows that that water bill should be $87. I back that up because USDA recently told us our water rates are too low because they should be at least $80, and that's to justify a grant. So our water bill is around $69, and obviously the board is not willing to chase a higher water bill just to chase grant. So that's why we're kind of pivoting and changing. But you know, hey, things always change, and we're all excited about the pivots that are coming. Oh, another question I always get too is, do we have enough water? That's something I've heard for well over 20 years. On the raw water side, we've done a great job diversifying into numerous watersheds, and Jason already highlighted the need that we're getting ready to expand the Delbert Monk plant. That plant serves about 30,000 people in a wholesale retail environment, and it's amazing because that's happened in 15 years. Our engineer back then bet a steak dinner, so I'm waiting to get my steak dinner because it took 15 years to get it. But at any rate, that's kind of somewhat of a funny thing. But as Jason mentioned, the need to increase that is not only to generate for more additional reliability, but additional capacity, so that if we have a really, really dry summer, you know, the plant can flex accordingly. Some current projects that we're working on, we're erecting a new elevated water tower in the village of Colton. For those that may not even know where Colton is, it's over in Montgomery County. So that's good. I got a handshake. You know where Colton's at? Good. So we got Colton, hopefully. But that's going up this summer. We're also upgrading to Wanaco. So for folks that take 29 and run up to Pana and head to Springfield, you'll have state prison thing on the right-hand side. So up in that area is called Wanaco. So we're upgrading that distribution system as well as meters. Richland County. Anyone from Richland County? Woo! Right. So Richland County, which is Alney, we're actually putting in the last phase of what was known as RE Water. So several years ago, we merged RE Water with an EJ, and so this is a testament to fulfill really our desire to, that original vision of RE Water was to serve their last phase, and that's what we're doing this summer. The other thing we're doing is we're doing a plant expansion at our high service pump room, which again is a compliance-driven requirement. And actually, the contractor showed up, I believe, today. I don't know if Luke's here. Luke went out there to check it. Luke, did they show up? Oh, they showed up, so that's good. So we're excited about that work, and that will be going on from today on for several months. As we look forward, one thing I wanted to highlight, we already talked about the plant expansion. We have been able to secure a $2 million RIPI grant from the state. Recently, we went out to Washington, D.C., and have made applications through the Congressional Directed Spending, which is the FY26 appropriations process. So again, we're trying to secure additional grant funds beyond our rural development friends. And now, we're in my last page. Aren't you guys excited? And dinner is waiting on us. So, some personal remarks. You know, I've said this every year, but I continue to say it. I am really amazed at the founding board. We mentioned Delbert Monk's name numerous times. Of course, he's also named on the water plant. But it's just amazing that who'd have thought? And I've heard all the stories over the years, but it is. We sit here on those shoulders some 36 years later of men that it's unbelievable amount of vision. Because if you recall, and I've mentioned this in the past, a lot of people said it'll never work. There's no way this thing's going to happen. And, you know, you've always got these doubters. And so it's an attestment that, you know, while I respect the doubters, we have to stand up and move forward. And certainly that's what the original board did. I also want to personally thank the board. And I want to point something out. I haven't really said this, but this is kind of a thing in our industry. We always somewhat say, if you see the board or know the board, you'll typically know the manager. And if you know the manager, you typically will know the board. And the reason for that little lingo in our industry is that the two are so linked. It's like business critical that if that relationship isn't there, things will not execute well. And I have to say, they haven't let me go yet after 23 years. It's been a fun ride. And so without that relationship, that wouldn't have happened. So forever thankful for the board. And also at this point, would you mind giving the board a round of applause? Also wanted to thank all of our teams in the office, construction, maintenance, plant production, meter reading, and of course we outsource our engineering and legal. Those teams work together seamlessly in a great way, and it allows us to execute and provide outcomes that are honestly second to none. And it's a tireless weekends. This winter was pretty grueling with cold weather. We had a lot of leaks, and so at this point, would you please give a round of applause to all of our teams that make that happen. Capital funding is the lifeline of all of our projects. And I just wanted to, I'd be remiss not to mention, without our partners such as CoBank, Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, that's not USDA Rural Development, and of course we're soon going to be working with the Illinois EPA State Revolving Fund. Without those partners, certainly we could not properly financed and funded our system today. A couple other shout outs that I wanted to make. They're not as relevant today, but they sure were 30 years ago. We developed some great relationships with our local banking partners, and I want to mention who those are because it's important to the foundation of the co-op. That was the Dietrich Bank, the People's State Bank of Newton. Thank you, Midland States Bank, which used to be called Effingham States Bank, Clay County State Bank in Louisville, Illinois, First State Bank in Beecher City. Now the reason I highlight those banks was they took a big risk on us lots of years ago. They funded about 8, 9 projects. And back then, we weren't quite the betting force that we are today. So it looked pretty iffy. And I also want to highlight, believe it or not, Norris Electric put a CD up with the People's State Bank to collateralize the loan. So, again, a great partnership between a rural electric co-op as well as a water co-op, and overall it's been a win-win. And of course, that's the beauty of being a co-op. It's partnering with each other to a common goal. Individually, we couldn't do this by ourselves. So of course, it invokes the spirit of the 7 guiding principles of the cooperative. Also, because don't you love when loans are paid off, we paid our last loan off last November, which was a 90-acre purchase that we had bought for our North Well Field. And that was the last local loan that we had in existence, and that thankfully had gotten paid off. Also wanted to thank everyone who's involved in this event. In particular, we mentioned Annabelle. Wow, is she a singer? Holy smokes. Yeah. I was looking at her hair and it's green, and I kept thinking, I wonder if my wife would let me go with green hair. That took a little while. But man, she could sing. The other thing I wanted to mention is Signature Wedding for the decorations. Of course, thank you to the Effingham Events Center, Jeff Wilson for providing the invitation. We also have Kirby IGA for the food, T-Skull, I think that's the right name, for the cupcakes. And I also want to do a special shout out to Laura Custer and her team that kind of put this thing together. It's kind of amazing when you have so many people involved in an event like this. You kind of show up, makes us all look like, it takes so many people. So would you mind giving a round of applause for those folks? And I also would be remiss not to mention, we've had some really special relationships with our counties, with townships, cities, villages, and in particular, why I'm mentioning this, it's not just the permitting and the right-of-way help. Many of these municipalities have sponsored pass-through grants that we've been able to take advantage of. And the advantage piece is that it's allowed us to have more affordable rates. So I can't say that enough over the years how important that's been. In conclusion, It's always been an honor and privilege to serve you to the best of my abilities, and thank you in believing in all of us, allowing us to succeed. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. The bylaws of EJ Water Cooperative Incorporated provide that it is the duty of the Board of Directors to appoint not less than 90 days, no more than 120 days before the annual meeting of members, a committee on nominations consisting of not less than 6, no more than 9 members, who shall be elected so as to give equitable representation on the committee to the geographic areas served by the corporation. The bylaws also provide that nominations for elections to the Board of Directors shall be made only by petition. The petition must be delivered to the registered office of the corporation not less than 120 days prior to the annual meeting of the members. Candidates that submit the required petition shall be placed on a ballot. The nominating committee determines the accuracy and authenticity of any such petitions. Ballots shall be mailed to all members in good standings no earlier than 45 days prior to and no later than 30 days prior to the annual meeting of members. Ballots will be required to be returned within 15 days prior to the annual meeting of members for tallying. The winner of elections shall be announced at the annual meeting of members. Notwithstanding the foregoing, in the event any position of the Board of Directors is uncontested, the ballot requirement shall be waived and the position of the Board of Directors shall be elected by acclamation by the nominating committee. In the event there are no petitions or no acceptable petitions for any or all of the vacant director positions, the vacant director positions will be filled by the Board of Directors as provided in the bylaws. The nominating committee was appointed by the Board of Directors, and the nominating committee met on December 9th, 2024. A copy of the 2024 report of nominating committee was included in the annual meeting mailing. In lieu of reading that report at this time, I would entertain a motion to dispense with the reading and approve them as provided. Is there a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve them as provided? Gentleman right here. Do I have a second? Jim Perry. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of dispensing with the reading of the minutes and approve them as provided, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion to dispense with the reading of the 2024 report of nominating committee has carried. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce the Board of Directors. Our newly elected directors are District 1, Diana Herron. District 2, myself, Jason Warfel. District 3 is considered vacant under the provisions of the bylaw, and the vacancy will be filled by the appointment of the Board of Directors at the next board meeting. Also representing our members in Effingham and Cumberland counties, which make up District 1, are Gail Garvey and Chris Harkey. Representing our members in Clay, Edwards, Jasper, Richland, and Wayne counties, which make up District 2, are Jeff Wilson and Mike Hall, who's not with us this evening. Representing our members in Bond, Champaign, Christian, Clark, Coles, Crawford, Fayette, Macon, Montgomery, Moultrie, Sangamon, and Shelby counties, which make up District 3, are Jimmy Ayers, Gary Morrison, and our retiring board member after 15 years, Chuck Schmether. I'd like to thank the board for their time and commitment to the co-op. They are passionate about helping our members and the communities grow. There is no old business before us this evening. At this time, we'll move to open the floor for member comments. Before we begin member comments and new business, I would like to remind the membership that a copy of the rules of the day was posted on the EJ website, as well as provided to each member when they registered. Any member wishing to address the membership shall comply with the rules of the day. Are there any members who wish to make a comment this evening? We do have a place up here that's got a microphone, so anyone that would like to comment, please proceed forward. I'll remind you, you are limited to 5 minutes for making a comment. Any membership like to make a comment? Yep.
Hello? Okay, no problem. Yeah, I don't think I need to speak that long. But, well, thanks for Bill letting us know that maybe the rates can come down since you don't have any loans. Did I hear that right? Maybe we need to pressure him on that. So yeah, the water usually runs, so thank you very much for all your guys' hard work. And I guess 2 years ago I came here wanting to, I've known about it for probably 30 years that fluoride was an issue in the water, and there's been some new studies talking about the neurological issues that are caused by fluoride. The Surgeon General of Florida has put out guidance to get rid of fluoride, advising communities to get rid of fluoride in Florida. And I've got some information on that here on my table if anybody's interested to read it. And when we get to new business, I'd like to make a motion to look at any kind of lawsuits we might do to get an injunction to prevent having to put it in our water. I think the medical benefits, or the risks outweigh the medical benefits according to most of the studies. There's no dose control because people drink water at various levels, or various rates. Some people drink a lot of water, some people don't. Some people bathe more or less. Some people say, oh, you don't get it in your skin. Well, I mean, if a pharmaceutical patch can get pharmaceutical chemicals in your skin, yeah, your skin is your largest organ. You're getting it into your body. And so yeah, I've got a reverse osmosis for what I drink, but I don't have for my whole house. They're pretty expensive. So I'd like to get rid of it. I'd like the board to take some serious consideration. I noticed we spend almost $600,000 a year on chemicals in the water. The conversations with Bill and other board members has been, the cost of a lawsuit, but I guess the question, what percentage of that 600,000 do we spend on fluoride anyway? Is it 10%? So that'd be 60,000. Is it 5%? There's 30,000. I mean, so supposedly the state of Illinois is requiring fluoride, but many people argue that it's kind of medical malpractice because you're forcing people to take a chemical for a medical reason with no dose control. So I'd like everybody to look at that, see if they wouldn't support a motion to try to get a court injunction and stop putting fluoride in our water. And thank you very much.
Any other member comments? Hearing none, we'll proceed to new business. At this time, I'll open the floor to any new business before the co-op.
I'd like to make a motion. I'm Cody Hare. I'd like to make a motion. I think I left one for the secretary, right? In 2019, I guess you guys got the members supposedly voted to allow the board to make all the bylaw changes without any member ratification. I'm a little offended by that. I make the motion to revert to the EJ water bylaws before the members supposedly gave up that right to vote on the bylaws several years ago. No provision of any of those reverted bylaws will stand which would prevent a member's motion and vote on any subject matter. So 2 years ago when I made the motion for fluoride, they let us have a vote on it. But I was being told that, we can't make a motion that would put the financial burden on the co-op. I don't know why. If we're members, we have the right to to vote on that. So that's what the intention of this motion would be, is to bring back the power to the members. I can remember 2 years ago, the attorney standing up here, it's your co-op. Well, it doesn't seem like my co-op when there's absolutely no ratification. And second of all, after I nominated myself from the floor 2 years ago, I noticed you guys changed the nomination requirements now. That's offensive. That's the reason for this, because I come in good faith thinking maybe I want to get a board seat, and then I look at the next year, I didn't even bother because you guys made it so complicated. They won't send me a member list to go try to socialize with some members. I mean, I could just drive down the road, find members, but I shouldn't have to. I should be able to get a list. You guys don't give me the list. So that's the reason for this. I hope everybody would support it. Bring back power. I don't think we're rational. There's, 100 people here, 117, I think they said, with a quorum. I think we're rational people to ratify any bylaw changes.
So for the purpose of the new business, can you just articulate what the actual motion is that you're proposing?
I think I did leave one with the secretary. Does she want to read it? Or?
Could you just read it for
Okay,
us?
I'll read it one more time. EJ Water Annual Meeting, March 13th, 2025. Motion by Cody C. Hare. My last name is pronounced Hare, spelled H-E-E-R. Motion to revert to the EJ Water bylaws before the members supposedly gave up that right to vote on the bylaws several years ago. I was told, this is an aside, that it was 2019 when that happened. Okay, continuing. No provision of any of those reverted bylaws will stand which would prevent a member's motion and vote on any subject matter. It's supposed to be our co-op. So I opened up the motion. I did my discussion on that. Does anybody want to second
Well,
it?
just a second, Mr. Hare. Thank you for the motion to amend the bylaws. However, a motion to amend the bylaws at this member meeting is out of order. Your motion is out of order because it would violate Section 2, Article 5 of the EJ bylaws and provisions of the Illinois General Non-for-Profit Act, which vests the authority to manage the affairs and exercise all powers of the corporation by or under the direction of the Board of Directors. Thank you.
That's not correct what the state law is. I would like to appeal that to the chair.
Okay. Pursuant to Robert's Rules of Order, my decision on your motion out of order is unappealable for the reasons just stated. Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there any additional new business before the co-op? All right. At this time, we'll proceed to the presentation of awards and recognition. Bill, if you'll join me up here on stage. These individuals have dedicated years of service to the organization and their community. We are very blessed to have amazing people leading our organization, and these folks right here are a big part of what makes our co-op successful. So if you happen to know them or run into them, be sure to congratulate them. Bill?
Thank you, Jason. At this time, and I don't know if we're going to make the employees come up front. I don't know what you guys think about that. But first is Jared Mayhouse, who has served 10 years of service. We have a presentation here to Jared, awarded in grateful recognition to a loyal employee for your 10 years of dedicated service while improving the lives of the co-op members. Thank you for your commitment and measurable contribution to impacting thousands of members and hundreds of communities. You have made all the difference. Conferred by the EJ Board of Directors and team on today's date. So, Jared. We got another Jared. He's Jared 1, and the other one's Jared 2. And some days, the other one's Jared 2 and Jared 1. Also, Jared Miller has celebrated his 10 years of service, and if I may read this, presented to Jared Miller, awarded in the grateful recognition to a loyal employee for your 10 years of dedicated service while improving the lives. This, I gotta make sure this principal, while improving the lives of the co-op members. Thank you for your commitment and immeasurable contribution to impacting thousands of members and hundreds of communities. You've made all the difference conferred by the EJ Water Board of Directors and team on this date, March 13th. Jerry. Our last service award is to Stephanie Westendorf, who celebrated her 20th year with the cooperative. To Stephanie Westendorf, awarded with grateful recognition to a loyal employee for your 10, well, this is actually, that's a little typo. It says 10 years in this description, it's actually 20. It did pass the QA/QC. She'll still take it. Of dedicated service while improving the lives of the co-op members. Thank you for your commitment and immeasurable contributions to impacting thousands of members and hundreds of communities. You've made all the difference, conferred by the EJ Board of Directors and team, March 13th of 2025. Well, I've got a couple comments. As was mentioned earlier tonight, Chuck is retiring, and the reason I'm going to make a few comments, I did a little research earlier today for tonight's comments, and Jason wasn't aware of those, so I thought I'll share at least this. But in 2012, we had acquired Lincoln Prairie, which Lincoln Prairie water was really started out of the Shelby Electric cooperative. It was great that the co-op took the lead on this, which the electric co-ops have done. As I mentioned earlier about Norris Electric's role with us, certainly Shelby Electric roles was similar in getting Lincoln Prairie off the ground. At the time, we had brought 2 board members over with that acquisition, and one happens to be Chuck, who we were introduced earlier, and he's been with the co-op, I think, 13 years, because it was 2012. I think that's the math, right? 2025 minus 2012. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Everybody? 13? I think it's right. But anyway, we're grateful. Prior to that, I think he served an additional, I want to say, at least 12 to 13 years. So in all, between Lincoln Prairie and EJ, it's been about a 25-year of service, and we're grateful for Chuck. He knows a lot of people, friendliest guy. He was so helpful in getting us easements and right-of-way up in those areas, which is very common for a lot of the original board of directors. But we're thankful for Chuck and his service.
So the award this evening, hold your applause for just a second. The award this evening for Chuck is for your vision, your guidance, and unwavering commitment have helped shape our organization. So for your 13 years of dedicated service, Chuck, we thank you.
Also, one thing I forgot, actually. Some of our older board members who have served with us, one in particular is P.V. Finley. I know he and his wife Mary are here this evening. PB was one of the original board members and had recently retired a few years ago. So, and I don't know if there's any other board members. Oh, Monty, yeah, I saw Monty. Sorry, Monty, I saw you. Monty Van Dyke and his wife, Susie, are also here in attendance. Anyone else? So, if you don't mind giving a round of applause. And that concludes that portion. Next, you'll notice we didn't have any TVs this year. I got overruled. I thought TVs were kind of cool. So we talked about this, which is probably no